Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Kratos defense and security solutions. It is time for another update, as we may have formed an initial 5-wave structure here in the shorter time frame, and we can be looking with higher likelihood for a new setup. But here on the larger time frame I want to go through it quickly. We are still in an overall downtrend on this chart, and we do still have to watch out for the general resistance areas. We do have the Fibonacci retracement to be watching out for, and we have some structural resistance here right above the 61.8% retracement, and we will probably find some headwinds here in the area between the $184 level to the $190 level, around that area anyway. And on this chart, from the all-time low, I am still trying to track this pattern, this structure to the upside as an impulse. This would be the first type of interpretation of the bullish scenario, the most bullish scenario, and the first scenario that would really get invalidated by failure to really comply with the rules that we will be tracking, that we expect it to really follow. Now in that case, I am tracking here a 1-2 setup that has formed, where the wave 2 was or has formed in a running flat, and then I am tracking this pattern as a larger third wave that would be unfolding right now. Now within this wave 3, I could be counting here a singular 1-2 setup or multiple 1-2 setups. Doesn't really matter exactly. The main idea is, and the main area of focus is, this internal third wave to the upside, within which we have been tracking it as a series of 1-2 setups that have formed in this area. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, then another 1-2 here, and then this would be the first third wave that would still be unfolding. Now, based on the internal structures, I could argue that this was the wave 3 itself, and then this is a fourth and a fifth, and it would be done. We would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complete. But I would still like actually to track this as the actual wave 3. The RSI is in fact, if we check, the RSI is in fact suggesting to me that this is the actual wave 3, that this is the most impulsive and the peak that has actually formed in this area. And in that case, I would like to still try and track this pattern to the upside, where we are even at this point here, or maybe have completed, likely have completed here, a wave 4 correction. Now that is no guarantee. The wave 4 could shift into a triangle structure, so we could sideways a bit, and we did already also break below the last level of support a couple of times already, which is really not good. It's not ideal. It does suggest that this structure may not work out, but for now it was both times quite brief, and we managed to recover pretty swiftly, and in fact we managed to even create an initial 5-wave structure to the upside here in the nano time frame, and we can be looking for a possible 1-2 setup. Now even in this case, I still provided you in the previous video this idea of a possible shift in the structure that we could be tracking to the upside. And I could still track an impulse as well. As I was mentioning, this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th that could have developed. This could be an impulse still. But I believe it is very likely that if we fail to hold and create this structure as the third wave to the upside, I believe it is very likely that instead we might need to track an overall different pattern, an overall wave C in this area, where this would be a 1, 2, 3. We would get a much larger wave 4, and then a 5th wave to the upside, and have this structure complete afterwards. And in that case, we do have a support zone that does start right where the white scenario leaves off. It is overlapping ever so slightly, but it allows for a much deeper retracement and afterwards continuation higher. However, it is not the same reliability that we can be tracking overall in an impulse. Within the yellow interpretation, we would have a much more difficult time identifying the actual structure developing, because it would be formed, the fourth wave no problem, it would be something like an ABC, but then the fifth wave itself would also be an ABC structure, and it can get quite difficult to track possible entries and good trade setups in such a scenario. Now, with that said, at the moment we are still holding. I am still tracking this idea of a continuation to the upside here in a wave 5, and I am tracking this as an initial wave 1 in a 5-wave structure. I'm looking here for a wave 2, and then a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th to the upside to form and allow us to have actually a pretty good return here on this possible setup. Now keep in mind, it is also within the larger time frame support zone that we have here in the white scenario, between the here for the wave 4, between the $97.4 level all the way to down to the $83 level. Yeah, it overlaps perfectly. And if we fall below the 78.6% retracement at the $83.6 level, it would be already a decrease in the probability, the likelihood of this 1-2 setup working out. We can leave down to the 50% retracement, which is just below it, but a break below the $80.8 level, the beginning of the wave 1, would actually be an invalidation of this 1-2 setup, and we will very, very likely head back into a larger correction within the wave 4 here in yellow. With that said, there is no guarantee that we will manage to create here a 5-wave structure to the upside, but it is an area of great risk-reward ratio here that we have in white, and good probabilities that it will work out, at least in terms of creating at least another wave to the upside. Because what is suggested to us by the Elliott wave theory is that once we create an initial 5-wave structure in a trend reverse, we are expecting after a 3-wave correction with pretty high likelihood a continuation in the trend of the initial 5-wave structure in an additional 5-wave move. And in that case, it could be in a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is pretty much guaranteed. Or it could be a 1, 2, an ABC pattern, and in that case we would still be expecting a 5-wave structure within the wave C, which is also a high likelihood. Now, I'm not saying it is impossible for us to break down to not hold any of these support levels, but I'm suggesting that the probabilities hint at us that we will get an additional 5-wave structure to the upside at least. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.